Hey you guys, this is Fombys and I am heading to Home Depot. So I want you guys to come and go on this journey with me on today. I got my vehicle loaded with all of the stuff that I need. So let's go. Oh my gosh. Hey you guys, I had to go to Lowe's instead because it was just closer. Because I got to get to the office too, so I'm running a little bit behind. All right, let's see if we can find what we're looking for very quickly. So let's go. Hey, where are the self-tapping screws, metal screws? 15. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get these because it's interior and it's wood, mason, metal, drywall, and plastic. And I need these for metal. So let's try these and see if they work. Let's go. All right, you guys, now that I have everything that I need out of the store, I am heading to the car. But you know, as a full-time entrepreneur and just a prophet of God, we always get some type of revelation, regardless of where we are. So I just want you to check this out. So this morning I was reading in the Bible about Hannah, and we all know that Hannah was the one that prayed unto God and wanted to have a child. And it was not until she said, Lord, if you allow me to have a son, I'll dedicate him unto you. And as a sign, I would never cut his hair. So about 5 years old, Hannah took her son to be dedicated unto the Lord, and he stayed there with Eli, and she would only see him once a year to bring a coat, and sometimes, you know, on the weekends or whatever. And so I'm like, God, why would you allow this lady who always wanted to have a child to have to dedicate her baby unto you, to the fact that she cannot even raise him? And so this is when God began to tell me. He said that we're portals, we're conduits, we transplant God's plan unto the earth. So whatever God's will is, we just have to be willing to be used as a vessel, even if it goes against typical standards. And what does that mean? Typical standards is we are to raise our own child. We are not to go and give our baby over into the hands of somebody else to raise them. So that is an atypical decision. But what God is looking for, he's looking for individuals who will make atypical decisions, those that go against the grain, those that go against the norm. And we have to learn how to disconnect our feelings and our emotions from the obedience of God. Because emotionally, I know that this is something that Hannah may not have wanted to do, but out of obedience, she did it anyway. And how many of you all feel stuck today because you're so busy trying to coddle your own feelings, trying to coddle your own emotions, trying to make sense as to what is happening and going on in your life because of your emotions? Disconnect your emotions. This is why God said to present them as a living sacrifice. Your emotions is a living sacrifice. And so you're not going to always feel like obeying God. Your emotions may not want to align with doing what God have called you to do. But when you realize that I'm just a vessel, I'm a conduit, and so I'm here only to do God's will, not my own will. I'm only here to do God's will. And this spoke heavily to me because after I went through a divorce, my daughter, she wanted to live with her father. And by this being my only biological child, I waged hell against that decision. I mean, to the point where I was calling the police. I was threatening her. I meant, like, yo, you don't get a chance to make a decision as to who you're living with. I'm your mother. I'm well capable. I'm able. Like, yo, you don't even have a viable reason as to why you want to live with your dad, just for the simple fact that you just love your dad. And so I had to really adjust to that decision, because initially I felt as if my daughter had betrayed me. Initially I felt as if she chose her dad over me. But what God began to show me is that she have two well capable parents who both love her. But why is it justified that she lives with you because you're her mother? You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, well, Lord, that's typical. I'm like, God, that's typical. That's a typical decision. Is that a mother is supposed to raise her child. I'm not on drugs. I'm out here serving the Lord. I'm building for the kingdom of God. And I'm like, why can I not have my child? And God said the same reason that Hannah couldn't have hers. And I'm like, yo, like, I had a miscarriage, you know, buried 3 of my sons. And then here I am finally get a baby. And I feel like it's the same thing that happened to Hannah had to happen to me. That in order for, I just feel like I had to just trust God's process and make an atypical decision. Because the more that I was rebelling against the idea and the fact that my daughter was going to live with her dad, I was making situations worse. Because like I said, I was calling the police. I'm showing up like I'm raising hell, because this is my child. And so, that was just a painful choice. That was a painful decision for me. But now that she's with him, I'm seeing God's hand, because there are some things that she had to experience and go through that she would not have had an opportunity to really grow and mature to the way that she has if she was in my household, because I would have babied her. And I know that God have her there for his plans, for his glory. And it's caused her to mature and grow in so many ways. And I know initially that Hannah did not see the reason why she had to give Solomon over to Eli. And I didn't see the reason why I had to give my child over to her father and figure out a way to parent in a new way, in an atypical way. But once I realized, Aubrey, she has a calling and a purpose on her life, and that has to be cultivated. And so we don't just raise kids to make A's and B's. We raise kids according to God's purpose, plan, and his assignment. And that's where I am in my life. I just died to myself. I died to my will. And I know that God is calling me to atypical things. And when that happened, it shook me to my core. But I had to figure out how to get up, how to raise up, and how to still be a part of my daughter's life. Still figure out a way to, parent her. And then also, I had to forgive her for what I felt at the time was abandonment and rejection. I felt like my daughter abandoned me. I felt like she rejected me. But God was also showing me that I was coveting the relationship that I had, with my daughter. Because God said that, I'm a jealous God, put no one before me. And I just feel like as long as it was me and my daughter, I could conquer the world. But when I lost my mom, I went through a divorce, after 16 years, I lost my nephew. And then I felt as if I lost what I knew as a mother-daughter relationship. I was grieving just so hard, and nobody would ever know, unless you have gone through this experience, what it feels like to have to still get up, still have to preach and declare the word of the Lord, pray for families. And it looked like my whole family is being dissipated. That was hard for me to adjust to, that this was God's will. And I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle, and I'm sure that Hannah still struggled too. You know what I'm saying? Only seeing her child during certain times of the year. I know she struggled. That's not an easy decision. The Bible never addressed her emotions, but as a mom experiencing that myself, I had to address those emotions. And nobody ever said that it would be easy to obey God. Again, that goes back to addressing feelings. But I know that it's necessary and it's important. And once I just realized, and this is how I am just for every area of my life just going forth, that I am only a vessel. I am a conduit, and I am not to covet nothing in my life, not my house, my car, my husband. I'm not to covet anything in my life, relationships, friendship, nothing. I'm not to covet anything in my life. I have to be willing to let everything go. And so for me, in order for me to guard my heart, is that I just look at everything as temporary. And so everything is temporary in my life. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary in my life. And so if it has to go, if it has to die, if it has to separate, it won't break me in the process.